Hello, everybody. Welcome to Manifest with the Chakras. I'm your host, Supriya Prasad. Welcome. If you are tuning in live, make sure to let me know where you're tuning in from. If you are watching the replay, please put hashtag replay. Thank you guys so very much for joining. Let me go in here just a second. I think I messed up the camera. Yep, internal speaker. Okay, there we go. There we go. And you guys should be able to hear me better now. So welcome to Manifest with the Chakras. My name is Supriya Prasad. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are actually going to be talking about the Sacral Chakra. If you're tuning in live, let me know where you are tuning in from. And if you are just watching the replay, please put hashtag replay. Thank you guys so very much. Let me adjust my microphone. Thank you guys so very much. And I am so ready to talk about the sacral. The sacral chakra is one of the, most ignored chakras in all of the whole chakra system. Well, the main chakra systems, remember, we have like over 150, 200. We have a lot of chakras in our bodies. And of course, I focus on these 7. The sacral chakra, otherwise known as Savasana chakra, is all about your creative center. And for many women, this is our creatrix. It's our womb space, our womb energy. Our womb space and our womb energy, and it's where we store like a lot of our creativity. So if you are having any issues with anything creative going on in your body, if you're having like blocks in how you could end up having those creative blocks in your business, like writer's block, writer's block is a big one. Coming up with creative offers, things like that, making your offer stand out. And of course, we're not talking about business here. We're also talking about relationships. If you are feeling stuck in your relationships and you can't seem to move forward creatively, intimate-wise, in your relationship, this is an area that often goes unnoticed. It also is where your divine feminine and your divine masculine gets stored as well. Your divine feminine and your divine masculine gets stored in a way where it's very much a part of your creative center. A wounded feminine is often has a lot of where, you see this in women who are bosses, girl bosses, and all of that stuff. They're very much into their masculine energy. Why? Because the world is a masculine energy. We're often taught that girl bosses are very much a need and a power, and there's no, and I'm one too. I call myself a girl boss all the time. That's not a big issue. But the problem is that when you're not balancing the energy and when you're not in the energy of receiving, you tend to push the masculine out of the way, where the masculine energy and natural energy would be more of the provider. At least that's what polarity tells us, right? The masculine energy is more the provider energy. So for a lot of single women out there who are very much within their whole power of wanting to provide, or a masculine who wants to provide, but they are only attracting women that are high-powered boss women, there's something in their masculine energy, a wounded masculine, that are, that's not attracting that. So anyways, Might want to look into that. So masculine energies, feminine energies are all stored in there. A lot of people aren't balanced within, a lot of women I find aren't balanced in their divine feminine and divine masculine. We do have both. I don't care what other coaches, polarity coaches tell you. We do have both. And we have, it's the yin and yang. It's the yin and yang symbol. So we do have both energies. And because, yeah, I don't care what anybody else says. We do have both energies in us. And we do have to have them balanced, and we do have to have them both to survive. Now, in the physical, yeah, like that makes sense. It makes sense to have a divine masculine, divine feminine energy in the physical and relationships, right? Because one is meant to receive, one is meant to be the provider. And yeah, both can provide in the relationship, and both can be, substantial, all of that. But when we think about how we when we think about like how things are put into our lives and our daily lives, and how we are managing our relationships and things, both masculine and feminine need to come together like this. So whether it's within us or whether that's within another person, you know, a woman definitely is in her radiance and in her power when she's in the power to receive as much as, she is giving. At least that's how I always feel. And if you're in the power of receiving, you need to be in the power of giving as well. And a lot of women aren't in the power of receiving. And that's what I always find. So, sitting back and attracting, and this is why I like attraction marketing for my clients, for my business clients, attracting your energy for a woman is like probably one of the best things to do, and especially if you are a spiritual leader of any sorts, you need to be in the power of receiving that energy. So, what do we do? What do we do when we receive? You have to have messaging that's clear, throat chakra, and we're going to get to the throat chakra pretty soon, right? We're going to get to the throat chakra in another episode. But throat chakra has to be really clear. Your heart chakra has to be pretty intact. You have to make sure you have a lot of boundaries on yourself as an empath. And you also have to make sure that your confidence level is there. But most of all, you had to make sure you're in the energy to receive. So what is the energy of receiving? It means not giving. Not giving, but not giving a whole lot. A lot of us over give. We over give. And what do I mean by this? It means that we over deliver when we should be delivering, right? How many of you, whether it's in a job or in your business or wherever, how many of you have over delivered or over gave on a business? Hello, Pri. How many of you have over gave in your job, in your business, and not received anything in return? How many of you have done that? My hand is raised. I can tell you that. I've done that and I received nothing. Not a promotion, not anything. Because guess what is the expectation? Overgiving becomes the expectation. And this goes into business too. If you get a referral off of what somebody else does for you because you over delivered for that client, you get the referral from another person, and that person, the referral becomes the client, and guess what, they have the expectation that you're going to keep over giving. But not just over giving, that is also going to become the norm, right? It's also going to become the norm. But now it's not just the norm. You set that bar for yourself, so they're going to expect it to rise and rise and rise and rise and rise and go further and above and beyond for them. This happened to a few people that I know, and this happened to, of course, yours truly, where the bar was raised so high that you can't make the bar anymore. You can't even reach it. It's unattainable. That's why you have to start putting boundaries, not on yourself, but to other people, and you're over giving. Heart chakra. Heart chakra is all about like giving and love and compassion, right? But we're talking about the sacral here. Giving, over giving is feminine energy. So what do? You have to be in more of your masculine. You have to put the boundaries on to that over giving. But what does that do, right? You have to think about, what does that do? So being very cut and dry in business, which is what I used to be, very cut and dry, and not being so personable with my business, is in a masculine energy. See, I had to do a lot of things in my feminine energy. I was in a feminine industry using a masculine energy, and that just doesn't work. That just doesn't work. And when you are in that feminine energy, in the feminine place, in a masculine environment, it won't work either. So here's what you need to do when you come across these situations. Don't get too competitive, because competitive energy is overly masculine energy. That's a wounded masculine energy, is competition. Feminine energy is when you get into the space of it's collaboration, not competition. Right? Collaboration over competition is what I always say. So, and I have more collaborations than anything, because there's a lot of similar people like what I do. Are there people that do exactly what I do? No. Have I met anybody that does exactly what I do? No. But are there people similar? Yes. Do I collaborate with them? Yes. Do I go to their conferences? Yes. It's a very, very similar energy. And sometimes I'm their clients too. You know? Sometimes I'm their client. It's a similar energy. It's similar. So you don't go and become somebody's client and do all that stuff and just completely get into this whole like, I'm competing for the number one spot. You can't take my client. And of course, if you guys don't have, and of course, I'm also talking to people that just have regular jobs and like have a career and stuff. You can also go into a job environment and have somebody that is, competing for the same promotion, title, whatever. You can't compete when you know that somebody else has a better outline for the job than you. If you know you're not going to get it based on a personality type, because that's what it often comes down to, whether or not somebody is meant for that position. The boss might just like them better. It might not even be skill set. And that's something that you also have to come to that conclusion of. There are 500 different burger places in the country. Burger stands, hot dog stands. It's funny because I don't even eat meat. It's funny I make ice cream stands. I don't know. But somebody just wants to go to the one that's serving the dairy-free and gluten-free ice cream. That's me. That's me. That would be me. I would want to do the dairy-free, gluten-free ice cream with the dairy-free, gluten-free chocolate chip cookie dough. Oh my God, that sounds so good right now. Can you tell that I'm hungry? Can you tell that I'm hungry? Actually, no, I'm actually not really hungry, but I would be. But But I want to go to that place. What's that place? Well, you're cutting out maybe 75% of the audience. 75% you're cutting that out, right? You're cutting it out. But here's what I want you to do. You say, so what? I want to do just dairy-free, gluten-free ice cream. And I really, by the way, this is hello, Sydney Webb from LinkedIn, the CEO of Toto, by the way, CEO of Toto Cookies, who is a dairy-free, gluten-free. She has like stomach issues, and by the way, she has like stomach issues and like created this dairy-free and gluten-free cookie. That is low-key amazing. And she carved out a space, though, in the market. She carved out a space because guess what? Stomach issues are on the rise. Food allergies are on the rise in this country. And this is a topic for another day, but she carved out a space in the market where she was just like, "Hey, I have a cookie that is amazing." And that's gluten-free, dairy-free, and has everything. By the way, the gluten-free, dairy-free marketplace, if you can find a way to do that and do that for a lot better and cheaper, you'll pretty much own the market. Sydney Webb, I'm talking to you, because her cookies are amazing. Anyways, but that is sacral chakra, though. I'm bringing this all back to the sacral chakra. This is a sacral chakra issues, gut issues, and well, gut issues are also solar plexus too. They're both connected, by the way. Solar plexus and sacral are connected. So if you have an issue with the sacral chakra and the womb space and hormones and all of that stuff gets affected, especially it's more in women than in men too. More women than in men too. Hello. Hi, Pri. Okay, let me take some questions here. Been there, done that, and this year I decided to change all of that for 25 years. I've worked with the masculine energy because I was in an industry. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Being a woman in a man's world. That's what it is. I mean, I've been there and done that too. I sometimes was the only woman in the room. And I remember 4 years ago when Clubhouse was a thing, I actually talked to a woman. I was in a room with a woman that was there in the digital marketing world since 1996. She was an email marketer, and she said it was so much worse than it is now. At least she says something along the lines of, at least women get respected now. Yeah. And that was in that was, and I was just like, wow. And she says it's gotten a lot better. She said it was gotten a lot better. Anyways, yeah. Totally about the sacral chakra. This is all about the sacral chakra and gut issues, all of that stuff, that is in sacral and solar plexus. So if you have hormone issues, that's more sacral too. Sacral is all about the reproductive system. It's all about the rebirthing system. So, endometriosis, things like that, PCOS. I don't want to I don't want to be able to diagnose any of that for people. So if you guys do think you do have that, go see a doctor. That's a PSA. See a doctor. But like a lot of this stuff is because this world that we live in as women, we're in a masculine driven world. We're living in a masculine driven world, and we're often showed that like women also have to be providers too. We can't be stuck in the same mentality that we were back in 1986 or 85. I can't even imagine what the workplace looked like for women in 85. That was way before I was born, too. I can't even imagine what that workplace was able to look like for that, because holy crap, like 85, like still 85, even 75, even 1975, like women were just stepping foot into the workplace. Just stepping foot, right? We were just stepping foot, and now we're seeing as women are just getting promoted and into even CEOs and CMO positions. It took us a while to get to those positions, but we're now getting it into the CEO, and we're now driven in the masculine world, and it's led to a huge domino effect where there's stress involved, stress that affects our vagal nervous system, stress that affects our health, stress that affects every single parts of our lives, stress that affects our income situations, root chakra, right? Income situations where, if husband and wife wants a date night, or, husband or wife wants a date night, they can't because like the kid, they can't because they're going to try to find or working on, not using the word try, not using the word try this year. And I kind of want everybody on this live right now to never use the word try. Just do the whole do or do not, there is no try, right? Do or do not, there is no try. Just a side note there. So, or they're working on getting a date night, but they can't ever get a date night because, they're working at a hospital from 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning, right? Working the night shift, and they can't ever get a date night. And even on the day off that they both have together, they're often in bed sleeping, watching a marathon of their TV show because they can't ever get one because they're making the money to spend for that renovation that they have in the kitchen, right? I mean, this is what we're talking about. And, as the kids grow up, like they're often not growing up and seeing their child grow up because they're working, right? They're working so hard, working so hard. I actually saw something on TikTok that this actually just made me think of like a video I saw on TikTok the other day about like how so many parents aren't like going to their child's games and all that stuff because inflation has increased and all of that and all those things, right? And some people like missed the point of that whole video entirely and said, well, I'd rather have my parent work instead of being homeless. Well, that's not what they're talking about. And this is what they're Here's the thing, and this is what I always say to people. If you have no money in your bank account, you have no money. If you have $5 in your bank account, you have $5. Like those are facts, and those are things that are never going to change. Right? Those are things that are never going to change. If they're facts, they're facts. These are things that are never going to change. So if your dad does have to work that extra shift and he's going to have to miss your football game or whatever because of that, and you're happy that he's missing your football game, that's fine. If you are satisfied with that, that's fine. I am talking about the people that don't get the promotion and don't have to work extra hours. They're clearly working because they don't want to stay at home because of their issues with the sacral. Their issues with the sacral, their issues of being a provider, their issues of being all of that stuff. Right? Their issues of being like there's so many things. Hi, Molly. Okay. I was actually able to help my sister with their sacral chakra issues. Simply clearing that chakra alone can do so. Oh my God, yes. Yes, there's so much to do with your sacral. And you can do a sacral chakra meditation. Clearing the sacral chakra can do so much, right? Sacral chakra meditation. Hold on, let me adjust my camera really quick because it often gives me this. I don't know. It's weird because it gives me a kind of a double chin if I don't have one. And the sacral chakra, what a good way to do this is that I always do what I like to call the twisting tornado of white light meditation. which is the twisting tornado. And I always think of a tornado because I used to live in the Midwest, and tornadoes were a thing in the Midwest. It was a thing like every freaking year, and that I had to deal with living in Michigan, every single freaking year. Um, so I lived in the Midwest. I had to deal with tornadoes. That's why like the twisting tornado option came up when I envisioned it. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to guys to take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Inhale, and for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4. And of course, I want you to do that again with me. Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4. 1, 2. And then let's repeat that process again. Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, what I want you to do is while you keep that cadence, I want you to imagine a white twisting tornado of white golden light coming straight from the sky above and aiming straight at your sacral while holding your hands on your sacral. And I want you to start imagining that white light clearing out in the clockwise direction, clearing out your sacral. So as you breathe that white light in, you exhale out all the things that are holding you back. So let's do it right now. Inhale in. And you hold that white light in. And you exhale out and you see the black and you see the smoke as you do that. So keep breathing for me like that. Inhale in the white light and the golden light right to your sacral. And you release. Your sacral, by the way, is your Savasana chakra. Savasana, Svadisthana, Savasana chakra. And that's how you say it. You don't say chakra, you say chakra. It's called chakra. Chucky as in Chucky the Bride. Or Chuck Norris. I'm going to chuck you out. With the karate chop. Yeah, like you have to think of it chakra as in Chuck Norris or as Chucky the Bride, whichever one. Chuck, and you can imagine the Chucky the Bride is actually kind of like the shadow version of the Chuck Norris. So you could actually think of it that way, chakra. Savasana chakra, and Savasana chakra is just, it's basically your reproductive, your womb center, your sacred space. This one, I just feel like nobody's really in touch with it. It's a chakra that nobody is really truly in touch with. And that's because we're not really grounding ourselves into the earth. So if we're talking about a womb center, we're also talking about a root chakra. So we're not connected to our roots, is what that means too. Not connecting with our roots is way more dangerous than disconnecting with our roots more than anything. Now, are there substances that I would say take us away from that body? Are there substances that take us away from that body, right? I don't know why I just did that. Are there substances that take us away from that body? Yes. There are substances that take us away from our grounding center. Things like alcohol, things like hard drugs take us away from our soul. and disconnect our souls from those chakras and to our bodies. Our chakras are really the center point to our connecting points to our souls as well. Right? So when they are connected to our souls, they're connected to our centers. And our soul centers, our chakra centers, and all of that. And yeah, things like alcohol definitely disconnect us. Now, that's not to say that your soul isn't there. I believe your soul is there, but it's just in the background. At least that's how it is for me whenever I drink alcohol, which is why I don't drink it that much. I hardly drink. And that is a decision I made pretty early on in my life. Actually, I think when I was in my early 20s, that's when that's when I decided to that is when I decided to not drink any alcohol. Or just stay away from it as much as I possibly can and not make a habit of it. I could go into a separate account of how our culture kind of puts alcohol in the forefront and how alcohol like basically is a very much a driver in our society, and it's very much a drug that's completely legalized. Um, and I don't agree with what society rules as what is a good substance and what is not a good substance to have. I always say, though, for people, everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. And here's the thing, a lot of I think bars should have a 3-drink limit, if you ask me. Bars should have a 3-drink limit. I don't care what you say, there's a 3-drink limit, and I just don't think far too many people just go home drunk. Get in the car and go home drunk. That's what I think. So, anyways, I kind of got back off the issue, but that's with our sacral chakra, and we don't really make good decisions with our sacral a lot of times. We don't come back to our soul a lot of times when we get our substances, and our soul is very much connected to these chakras, and our chakras are very much not aligned when we have substances. And we take our things with food, and we put our addictions into food, and we put our addictions into all these other things, whether it's like substance abuse, whether it's food addiction, whether it's workaholism. Um, we put our addictions into like a lot of these things. And when we put our addictions into, all these separate things, we definitely get our addictions out of control. And it's because our souls aren't connected to our chakras. Those cores through to our souls from our chakras are pretty imbalanced, or are not there. We're not connected. So in order to connect and balance our sacral, specifically our sacral, we need to start grounding ourselves into the earth, into the ground. Not just eating healthier, that's physical, right? Eating healthier is physical. I mean, that's kind of a given. But what do we need to do? We need to start practicing good communication with our partners. We need to start practicing good communication with our bosses. We need to start practicing good communication with whoever is in our friends, people who are in our lives. We need to start practicing all of that stuff too, and like coming back to our feminine selves, or our masculine selves if you're a man watching this, coming back to your true self as a man. Not to say that like, oh, a man should be at the head of the household. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that coming back to your sacred self and into the man's sacral self, and back into who you are as a businesswoman, or who you are as a man, that's probably the best thing you can do for your sacral. And guess what? Your creativity is going to be through the roof because here's one thing you will do. Here's one thing you should do is write it all out. You're going to write out everything that you ever wanted in your life, but B, you're also going to write out your true raw feelings and what you feel inside of yourself. Now, if you're a man and you find that hard, I can see that. I can see why like a man would find this hard. So guess what? You can rage out. There's rage rooms, by the way. I did not know this, but there's a rage room. There are simply rage rooms where there's like old appliances, people gather and they just like beat and clear out their anger and all of that all that shit. And just take a bat and like hit an old computer. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Office Space, but if you've ever seen the movie Office Space, that's what they do in Office Space. Like they get a computer, they smash it like that. Like that's the type of rage I see like a lot of men go through each and every day because they don't want to tell their partners what they're really feeling. They don't want to tell their partners, they don't want to tell their friends, their family what they're really feeling and what they think inside because they think they'll get judged and they think they have a lot of shame inside them. By the way, shame is a big part of the sacral. If you feel shame in any way, if you feel a lot of shame in any way, that's a huge blockage in your sacral. And guess what? That shame gets stored and it gets stored into your sacral and it gets stored into your body. Remember, body keeps the score. Body keeps the score. If you've never read that book, The Body Keeps the Score, please start doing that. Because those issues are going to come back and it will haunt you. It will haunt you because guess what? You start to keep those little things inside of you and it accumulates and accumulates year over year and year over year. And you wonder why you're overweight. You wonder why, you wonder why you raged out one day at you raged out one day at your partner, or you raged out, or you did all this, or you start bawling in the middle of a grocery store. Right? I'm specifically talking, and I'm an Indian woman, a South Indian woman, and I'm going to be talking to a lot of South Indian people here too, or a lot of Indian people, Asian people here too. We are taught at a very young age to bottle up our feelings. Bottle up our feelings inside. We don't. We don't think it's right to show emotion. And a lot of men think this way too. I would say women have it a little bit easier even in Asian culture because it's okay for a woman to cry, it's not okay for a man to cry. It's not okay for a man to ever show their feelings. That also affects the sacral. Because guess what? That sacral chakra, that holds a lot of belly fat too. Obesity, belly fat, shame, all of that stuff gets held in there. And guess what happens to shame? Guess what happens to shame? Things like this, and of course you add things like, I don't know, abuse. You get things like violence and DV and SA, and if you don't know those terms, look them up. RAPE and all of this stuff that happens in men and women. All of these things that happen both men and women show up in our day-to-day lives. But we wouldn't know it. We wouldn't know it because there's addiction involved. We write off addicts. We write off people who make mistakes, not knowing what is actually the issue at fault. Hi, Natasha. Thank you. This resonates so much at the moment as I'm going through a transformation and I chose this change. And today I took a walk in the park, took my shoes off, walked barefoot. And so I feel the ground and rooted. Yes. Feeling the grass underneath your bare feet is probably the best thing you can do for your health. It really is the best thing you can do for your health because you know why? Not only are there like natural endorphins in the earth, but you get to release all that you're feeling and tell the universe to receive it through Gaia. And guess what? Gaia just it goes back into the earth and it feeds it into the atmosphere and it transmutes. Right? So when we think about shame and we think about things like fear and shame and all that stuff, masculinity, femininity. I need to be strong for my children. I need to be strong for my wife. I need to be strong for my, my husband. I need to be strong. I need to be strong. But it's okay to show vulnerability. It is okay to show vulnerability. You know what's not okay? Having your friends and family read about how you chose a decision that you decide to make because you feel that you couldn't share anything with anybody. They have to read about it in the paper, they have to read about it in the news, in a newsletter, they have to read about it somewhere else because they didn't know you were struggling. And this is a lot of this is an issue men face more than women because again, women are a lot more societal it's societal acceptance for women to show their emotion. But why is that though? Women are allowed to cry and men can't. Why are men not allowed to cry? Have you ever thought about that? Shame gets involved. When shame gets involved and you feel like you can't measure up as a man or even as a woman or even as a housewife or even as a mother or a employee at your workplace, even if you can't, there's a lot of shame involved. There's a lot of feelings of just not being good enough. That's also solar plexus. Not feeling good enough is solar plexus. That's imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. But why? But why can't we talk about shame? Why can't we talk about vulnerability? I get like a lot of people telling me it's like, wow, you're being so vulnerable right now. I don't feel like I'm being vulnerable. There's a lot of stuff I haven't shared on social media. There's a lot of stuff I haven't shared. I don't feel like I'm being vulnerable, I'll be honest. But the fact that other people think I'm being vulnerable is telling me a lot. A lot of people can't accept the fact that, well, social media is meant to be a place where you can, quote unquote, be real. But instead, all you ever see is somebody taking trips out to Greece, Paris, Rome, Sri Lanka every other week. That's all you're seeing, and you're not seeing the fact that they're in crippling debt and they're taking those trips to pay for their mother's treatment, cancer treatment. That's what's really happening out there. Nobody really tells you about how somebody like me in their 20s, or was in their 20s, spent their whole 20s taking care of their mother. Much of my early 20s was there taking care of my mom. And no treatment was helping her, nothing was really working. But she miraculously lived for 4 more years, and the doctors all said that they would, and some of these doctors are the best doctors in the entire world, and she passed away. Now, did I tell everybody that? No. Because I felt a lot of shame. I felt like I couldn't speak up. That's throat chakra speaking up, right? I couldn't speak up. I didn't want people to feel sorry for me or take pity on me. And there are some times where I do feel like that, but there's other times where, like, I feel like I didn't want to burden them. I felt like I wasn't perfect. I didn't feel like I was in my feminine. Right? Being in your feminine is all about receiving. And being in your masculine is all about providing. So when a woman is able to express her emotions authentically, you'll get all the help in the world. The squeaky door gets the wheel, or whatever the hell that is. That's what that is. And here's the thing. And I'm not a polarity expert issue or, relationship expert by any means. A man will want to help, or a woman will want to help if you express authentically what you need help with. Wow, this is very touching. Hi, Preeti. Wow, this is very touching. We are very similar because I'm Indian Mauritian, and I feel like you're telling my life story in a lot of ways, sending you good vibes because there's no need to be ashamed and everything we learn too late in life. Here's the thing, though, Pre. We didn't learn anything too late because guess what? It's not too late. It's not too late to learn new things. Right? It's not too late to learn new things. It's not too late to unlearn things. And that's what I coach people with. It's just never too late to learn new things. The worst thing you can do and the worst mindset to have is believing that you can never learn a new thing and you have already learned something. And that is arrogance because you have not learned anything. I am smiling indeed. I totally agree. I love it. I love it. I'm smiling indeed. But that's what this is about. Shame in the, and I'm specifically going to talk about the Indian culture. I mean, I can't speak I can only speak from my own experience about like a lot of what I'm talking about here. But there was a lot of shame being a woman in India. At least when I was growing up, and I didn't grow up in India. I grew up in the United States, born and raised United States. But there was a lot of shame of being a woman. And there was a lot of shame and like, you know, on how to dress as a woman. You have to dress conservatively. You don't want that man looking at you. You have to dress like this. You don't want this person looking at you strange. I'm 12 years old. Why would I care about what a man thinks when I dress skimpy? Right? Why don't you look at the uncle over there that's thinking that they would do that? You know what I mean? There was a lot of that growing up, and there was a lot of, you know, don't dress, don't put the shorts, don't put shorts up, don't put this, and you have to learn how to cook for your husband. You have to learn how to cook for your husband. But my brother never had to learn how to cook a single thing in his life. But I had to learn how to cook because I was going to have a husband and that's what I was going to do. My future was determined, right? My future was determined for me. And it's the case for a lot of Indian women. The futures are kind of determined for them. But especially when if you are born and raised American, you have immigrant parents that came into the United States. There's an expectation, right? Doctor, lawyer, or engineer. 3. You're either a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. You had 3 chances, and I swear, like, I don't meet an Indian man born and raised in the United States that aren't one of those 3. I think I meet 2 business people. I have met 2 business people that don't own a 7-Eleven or don't own a convenience store, that don't own a motel or don't own, you know what I mean? I think I've only met 2 Indian people, and I only think I met only 3 or 4 of them that are in marketing, just like I am. I am a renegade. I am a renegade in my family. I'm not supposed to do this. I'm not supposed to be doing what I'm doing right now. And I think I only know one girl, and one girl I actually grew up with. And she's kind of doing the similar thing as me. And this is the only person I ever knew my entire life who I grew up with, another Indian girl, not born here, kind of raised here, but ended up doing her own thing. I'm a renegade. I would say my brother is kind of one too, but he's just not as the renegade as I am. I'm more out there and I'm more so he still kind of cares what people think about him. Sorry, Vishal, but it's true. You do care what people think about you. But he's breaking out of the mold. And I'm a renegade and I kind of just don't care anymore. I don't care that I worked for multi-billion dollar companies. I don't care that I turned down jobs that could have made my career. I don't care anymore. Because guess what? Why? Why should I care? If I'm not being authentically me, and like I can't help but be authentically me. Authentically you is also sacral, bringing it back to the sacral. There's a point in all of this, by the way. I'm not just rambling. This all goes back to the sacral. Sacral is also being about your authentic self and not coming into your self-pity, right? And not going back into your own, shame and disappointment and all of that stuff. It's not about that. It's about being who you are. And, some people in the Indian community will call that individualistic. And this isn't about me being individualistic. And this is what, America, like, whatever. This is about me finding my own way, doing something that is breaking that mold and what I would like to call breaking the matrix. I'm going outside the box and breaking the matrix and doing something that has never been done outside my family line. Now, as I learned recently, I'm not the only business owner in my family. We had another person in our family that did own a business. But that's not considered a safe career. So, lawyer, doctor, engineer, IT. That's it. And that is what it was. And my parents wanted me to be a lawyer, and I didn't want to do it. Originally, they wanted me to be a doctor, but after they saw my grades in math, they knew that I wasn't going to do it. I I actually really appreciated science, and that's why I got into science, but like I really really hated math. I was too much of an astral traveler, and I always hear this. I'm too much of an astral traveler to be good at math. I travel a lot in like I'm a dream traveler, astral traveler, dream traveler, and I hate math. And you know, I can't figure out figures in my head for the life of me. But guess what? And I'm putting this on LinkedIn right now, and I kind of don't care because now and they're like, oh, now they're going to know. Now, like future clients and all that stuff are going to know that I don't want that that I'm like, nobody hires me for that. People hire me because they know I bring something different. They know I bring something different to the table and they know I'm good at it. They know I'm good at what I do. And that like to me bringing it back to your authentic self and into your sacral. A lot of women, Indian women, Indian American women like me are facing so many issues when it comes to fertility, when it comes to all of this stuff, being a boss babe and being like girl boss babe, whatever. Um, they're facing a lot of issues right now when it comes to finding a man, when it comes to finding a partner that they really like or having kids and things like that. And things, issues that I'm facing as well, but like I don't really see them as issues. I see them as opportunities. Why can't you have it all? There's this belief that women can't have it all. And I wouldn't say it's a limiting belief that women can't have it all. Because it is a limiting belief that women can't have it all. I do believe that you guys can. Women can have it all. Do you believe you can have it all? Is what I have to say. And if you don't believe that you can't have it all, why don't you believe you can have it all? And yes, there is like the whole women's reproductive issues argument. Well, I don't really want to get into politics right now. I hardly ever get into politics anymore on social media because that brings out a firestorm that nobody wants to get it into. Yes, I can have it all. Absolutely, Pre. Okay. I'm laughing here because we had the same upbringing, even though I didn't grow up in India. I was raised in Mauritius, the beautiful island. Where is that? Where is that? Where is Mauritius? I would love to know where that is. I have no idea where that is. You know, it's not about finding yourself. It's not about that. It's about like, oh, eat, pray, love. Let's find yourself. Let's go on a spiritual journey and find yourself. No, this is not about finding yourself. You're already found. It's about tapping into the voice that you already have, the authentic self that you already knew you had. Near Madagascar in the Indian Ocean. Okay. If you like have the things that you have already in you and you have all of this stuff, you know, eat, pray, love, and all of this stuff. Let's go out and like do this whole journey. I don't want to do that whole journey. Maybe I don't want to. And maybe that's going to change in the future. But sometimes I want to sleep until noon and get a lot of rest and just do all these things and feel my body in like all these different ways and places and things, and going out barefoot in the grass and walking on grass, walking alongside the beach. Sometimes I want to do that. I'll have seasons of when I want to do that, but sometimes there are times where I want to work. And I feel like everybody wants to do that though. I feel like everybody wants to do that. But they just don't want to say anything because we need that check. And of course, disclosure, if you really need that check, keep that job. I'm not telling you guys to leave. But I am telling you guys to question, where do you feel like what makes you think that you only need that? Right? That makes you feel like you only need that. Because I'm asking you to say, what could I do differently? And am I doing this because this is my only option? Because the second I thought to myself, this isn't the only option, that is when my whole life like began changing. No, working at a 9 to 5 that kills you, sometimes for some people is literally nearly kills you, isn't my only option. But changing my outcome in my life is up to me. Bringing it back to who I am and what I am and who I am as a feminine woman is up to me. And that is what healing your sacral chakra is all about. Creating the life you want, going back into your divine feminine and balancing your ego in a way. Because no, prior to like, regardless of what people think, you do need to have a little bit of ego in order to move forward. And me being psychic and me being a medium and me being like all of this stuff and doing all this stuff since I was like, what, 12 years old? And hiding a lot of it, hiding a lot of what I did up until 2020, 2019, 2020, doing all this stuff, knowing that people were going to judge me. Did I lose a lot of friends? Yeah. Did I gain a lot of other good ones? Yeah. Focusing on my business and focusing on other things has made me much better person, a much better person. And as I told other people this, I have told other people this too. I am not changing myself and improving myself and making myself a better person for me. I'm also doing it for my future kids. I'm doing it for the next generation. Because guess what? You don't heal all of those wounds of abuse and neglect and trauma. You don't heal those traumas that are in your sacral chakra, because they're mostly in your sacral. Sometimes they're in your solar plexus too. If you don't heal those wounds, guess what? They are going to go, and if you identify as a woman, they're going to go straight from your sacral, from your womb, into your kids, through into your kids. And epigenetics kind of proves this, right? Like, traumas and all of that stuff goes and passes down straight from the womb into your sacral, into your root, and into your child. And guess what? Your child will have to carry it, and their children will have to carry it, and their children will carry it, and their children carry it, so on and so forth, until somebody puts a stop to it. And that person is me. In my family, it's me. I'm the person that stops it. I'm the person that's moving forward and saying, like, this isn't my option. It's not an option for me to carry this forward. It stops here. Somebody has to say it stops here. Somebody has to say it stops here, and somebody has to say this isn't my only option. And that is how you cure your sacral. I hope you had a great rest of your day. Please take care of yourselves. Please press a like, share the live, comment. Comment below if you watch this whole thing. Comment below. Let's see. Clearing. Comment clearing if you finish this whole live. I would love to hear it. And thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys take care of yourselves. Have a great rest of your day. Bye now.